37 meters below the surface of Jamaica's north coast, at the bottom of a descent of some 60 stone steps, there is a lake so still that visitors standing at its edge sometimes do not realize the water is there at all, because its surface holds a perfect reflection of the cave roof above it. The lake is connected to the open sea through underground channels no one has fully traced, and it rises and falls with the tide, a body of water inside a mountain, breathing with the ocean outside. That lake sits at the heart of Grotto, the cave system between Runaway Bay and Discovery Bay in the parish of St. Anne, and it is only the last of the things found inside it. Before the lake, there were the painted images and the pottery of a people who vanished from the island centuries ago, a hidden tunnel that runs from the darkness to the open sand of a bay named for the people who fled through it, the stored weapons of smugglers, the sealed barrels of a government at war, and beyond all of it, a section of the system that has never been fully explored and is closed to everyone. Subscribe before we go down, because this cave is open to the public right now, and thousands of people walk through it every year without hearing half of what has come out of its ground. Jamaica is an island of limestone, hollowed from below by water over hundreds of thousands of years, and Grotto is a flank margin cave system that stretches for more than a kilometer through the rock of the north coast, its walls cloaked in the green algae that gave it its name. It has carried other names in its time: Runaway Bay Caves, Cave Hall Caves, Dry Harbor Caves, Rum Caves, Dairy Caves, Hopewell Caves, and each name marks a different set of people who needed the darkness for something. The record of those people is what the scientists found, and it begins with the oldest layer. The first thing that came out of the ground was evidence of the Taino, the first inhabitants of Jamaica, who settled the island centuries before any Europeans saw it. The discovery of cave paintings, tools, and fragments of pottery indicates that the Taino used these caverns for shelter, and researchers believe they may have held ceremonies in the chambers as well. Some of their rock art can still be seen in sections of the cave, and artifacts have continued to be unearthed from time to time, which means the ground of Grotto has not finished giving up what the Taino left in it. They were the first people to stand in the darkness beside the lake, and by the time the next people arrived to hide here, the Taino were already gone from the island, destroyed within a few generations of contact. Their pottery is still coming out of the cave floor. The second layer belongs to the Spanish, and it was left in a hurry. In 1655, an English force took Jamaica, and the Spanish, who had held the island for a century and a half, retreated into the interior and the caves. The Spaniards hid in these caverns to avoid capture, and the account holds that a Spanish governor held out inside them for weeks. What makes Grotto more than a hiding place is the tunnel. There is an underground passage that links the caves to the sand at Runaway Bay, and it is believed the Spanish used it in their attempt to escape the island and flee to Cuba. The bay outside is called Runaway Bay to this day, and one of the oldest explanations for the name is moving through the rock beneath it. A hiding place is a hole. A hiding place with a way out to the sea is a fortress, and the Spanish were not the last to understand that. The tunnel is still there under the bay. The third layer is the one the island speaks of most quietly. In the centuries of slavery that followed the English conquest, enslaved Africans who escaped the plantations used these caves to hide from the people who claimed to own them. They came into this darkness without lights, because the floor of the cave is deep in bat guano, which is rich in nitrogen and dangerously flammable, and an open torch in these chambers was a risk no one hiding for their life could take. They moved through absolute blackness, over wet limestone, past drops and pools, by memory and by touch, and the cave kept them. The same guano that made fire impossible had its own dark value, because in the days of the buccaneers it was collected from these caves and used as an ingredient in the manufacture of gunpowder. The cave that sheltered people fleeing violence was also feeding the raw material of it out into the world. The darkness they crossed is still total when the lights go out. The layers above that are closer to living memory, and they are stranger. Smugglers used the caves to run arms to Cuba, slipping through the tunnels with weapons the way the Spanish had once slipped out with their lives. And during the Second World War, the Jamaican government stored barrels of rum in the caves for safekeeping. In the 1970s, the cave was handed one more identity, when the underground lake was used as the set of the villain's subterranean base in the James Bond film Live and Let Die, and the scene where the submarine rises from the water was filmed on the same lake the Taino once stood beside. Quick thing before the deepest part. Drop a comment with the parish or the country you are watching from, and tap the like if this record is earning it, because what is below the tourist path is the part almost no one talks about. The lake itself is the find that scientists keep returning to. It lies roughly 120 feet below the entrance level, reached by that staircase of 60 steps, and the water is crystal clear and so still that the surface reads as empty air. It holds fish and small prawns living in permanent darkness. Because the lake is joined to the sea through channels in the rock, its level moves with the tide, which means the cave is not a sealed chamber but an open system, connected to the ocean by passages that have never been fully mapped. And that is the last discovery, the one the cave keeps making over and over, which is the size of what remains unknown. There are sections of Green Grotto where very little exploratory work has ever taken place. They are called the Wild Caves, and they are off limits to visitors entirely. Unlit, unmapped in full, running on beyond the reach of the tour lights. The system measured for the public runs about 1,500 meters, and no one states with confidence what the true extent of the network is, because the water that carved it did not stop where the walkways do. 9 of Jamaica's 21 bat species live in the caverns, hanging over the paths in the ceiling pockets, and the ecosystem they anchor is delicate enough that in February of 2003, Green Grotto became the first cave system in the world to be granted Green Globe certification for sustainable management, the first attraction in the Caribbean to receive it. A cave that once hid governors, fugitives, guns, and rum is now watched over as carefully as the people inside it once needed to be. So what stunned the people who studied this place was never a single object. It was the stacking. One cave holding the pottery of an erased people, the escape tunnel of a fallen empire, the refuge of the enslaved, the gunpowder of the buccaneers, the contraband of smugglers, the stores of a wartime government, and at the bottom of all of it, a tidal lake in total darkness with living things in it, below chambers that have still not been fully explored. Most caves hold one era. This one holds every era the island has had, in order, in layers, like a core sample of Jamaica taken straight down through its history. The tourists come every day and walk the lit path in under an hour. The Taino paintings are still on the rock. The tunnel still runs to the sand at Runaway Bay. The lake still rises and falls with a sea it never sees. And past the last light on the path, the wild caves are still down there, unmapped, holding whatever the next survey will find, because this cave has never once been opened without giving something up. There are caves like this across Jamaica and across every island near it, hundreds of them recorded and barely any excavated, and the ground under the Caribbean has kept more than it has ever surrendered. Stay subscribed, because we will keep going down into them, one by one, until the record is complete.